Hi everyone, my name is Glenda with SureFit Designs, whimsically known as Glenda the Good Stitch. If you've been following along in the videos that I've done on the cover stitch, you'll know that in the very first one that I did, I actually showed you a project that was underway, and it was the reversible vest. And here I had designed princess lines into it and used my cover stitch machine to do this decorative stitching. And the way that I did this was to turn the right side of the fabric upside down, so that this is the looper that's on the right side of the fabric now. And I also put woolly nylon in the looper so that you could see that nice heavy black line of stitching going up and down the princess line. And I'll remove this one and we'll take a look at another project. I've done a couple of blouses like this. This is the princess line blouse, and I did the same process where I wanted to emphasize the princess line, and so I've done that now with white thread. Again, this is the looper thread that is showing on the right side. And it's very easy to do this, but if by some chance when you get a decorative line like this done and you're checking it out and you go, oops, there's a thread or a stitch that didn't catch, then this will start to look really poor. And so how do you get rid of all of this without having to pick thread by thread by thread out to rectify that? Well, first of all, let's talk about what might have caused a skip stitch. Number one, you should always start off with fresh needles on any project. And cover stitch machines do require this EL needle. EL is extra long. And so it's very important that you put the correct needle in. The second thing that's really important is that you threaded your machine properly. Sometimes that can throw it off and not let a stitch form properly. And the other thing that could be happening is that the timing is off on your machine. Now, the timing is something you're not going to want to fix yourself. You would need to take that into your dealer. So those are just 3 things to keep in mind when you're trying to troubleshoot why that happened in the first place. Now, another thing that can happen is that you sew crooked. And that's what happened to me in the last project, is that even though I had my basting line here, I went crooked when I sewed it. And so it's really important to know how to pick it out quickly and easily. You've all had ready-to-wear t-shirts that when you see a thread loosening from the hem, you pull it and the whole thing runs on you and you went, oops, now my hem's out, not in place properly. Well, that's all well and good to know that that can happen, and that's a cover stitch and it will pull out. But because I've taught you how to lock the ends of both the beginning and the end of your project, sometimes it's really hard to get that process going. So I'm going to stitch a line here, and then we're going to take a look at how to pull it apart. But once you have it going, you see you can pull up the looper thread, and that just pulls all the way out. And so because I stitched crooked, and I don't like my finished garments to have that kind of an obvious issue on them, I would just rip it out before I took that basting out, and then your 2 top threads, they just pull out as well. And there it goes like that. And so it's really, really easy to correct an issue. And so let's take a look at how to make that happen. I've just got a piece of white fabric here, pattern fabric, and I'm going to just pretend that it's kind of like the blouse or the vest, where I want the looper, the lower looper, to be on the top side. So that means I'm going to be stitching it from the wrong side, and it doesn't matter the width that I do this. So we'll stitch this all the way along. This technique that I'm showing you doesn't matter whether you're using a 2-thread wide, 2-thread narrow, or a 3-thread. Again, you've removed this, or as you remove it, your needles need to be in the highest position to start releasing the tension, and then lift the presser foot and lift up the tip of your presser foot. Take a grabbers, either the my little dental hook here, or the tweezers that will come with your machine, and then pull towards you, snip the threads, and then again with the presser foot up in the highest position, give a tug to the back and off to the side. And the last thread clip is the looper thread. Okay, so that locked it. And then you start looking at your project, and yes, I know that that looks perfect. Nothing is skipped and nothing is broken there. But let's just say that you didn't have new needles in there, or you misthreaded and you've got a skipped stitch here, and so now it doesn't look nice and pretty like that, and you need to take it out. Well, what you want to do is on this, you're always going to start at the ending position. So remember, I sewed it in this direction, and you can tell that because my threads are still on the top of the sample. And on these ones, the threads are underneath because they got pulled to the underneath to lock them. Well, you have to release that locking mechanism. And so what you want to do is clip or take your thread ripper, or your stitch ripper, and just break the threads underneath where that lock is, all right? And then you find the longest thread. Well, in case I cut it longer so that I knew which would be my bobbin or the lower looper thread, and then you start pulling, and see, this one is locked on me, so I'm going to have to release a little bit more here to get it going. And let's get rid of those threads. Okay, there we go. It's broken, and now this should pull all the way, and it does. So now you can remove it and go back and check why did that happen in the first place, and it's come out so quickly. Okay, so that's one little tip that I wanted to share with you. And one other one that I'd like to comment on is that if you use just one single needle here, and let's say that you're sewing a project and you would like to baste it together, first of all, to try it on. You're not too sure of if you're going to like the way you've slimmed the legs or whatever the case may be. So you want to baste it and try it on. So now I've put right sides together, and I want just a single needle on my machine, and then I'm going to do a chain stitch. So I've got my little screwdriver here, and I'm going to remove the needle that's on the outside. I'll just let that go, remove the needle, and then I'm going to clip the thread and just pull it all the way through. So now the only needle that's threaded is my right hand needle. And now we're going to sew a seam. And I'm just going to assume that that's 5/8 of an inch, or pretty darn close to it right there. And now I will sew my seam, my 5/8 inch seam allowance. And this is a chain stitch. And then, of course, you could have marked that with your tape and known exactly that it was 5/8. So if you're basting for trying on and fitting purposes, it does need to be exactly 5/8. So to remove this, the needle has to be in the highest position, raise that presser foot up, tip the toe up, pull the thread forward, cut it, and then lift, pull, and away it goes. And again, I'm just going to cut my looper thread a little bit longer. Now, again, I started here, I've ended here, and because of the way I removed it, I locked the threads. So there's my little stitch ripper. I need to break this first thread on the top side. I'm breaking the top thread, and now rather than picking out tedious basting, which, I mean, it's okay if you've got a really long basting stitch, but look at how fast you can rip that seam out. So It's a really handy technique to know. You can use this chain stitch, sew the garment together, try it on, and then when you're ready to sew it permanently, that rips out so quickly. Well, I hope you've enjoyed these tips that I've shared with you on sewing with your cover stitch machine. And I do invite you to join the SureFit Designs community if you haven't already. You can do that in 3 easy steps. Number 1, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and please leave a comment. Number 2, make sure you subscribe to the SureFit Designs newsletter. There's all kinds of getting started gifts to get you going, and you just need to go to surefitdesigns.com, and the sign-up form is at the bottom of pretty much every page. And number 3, we now have a Facebook users group. We have seamstresses from all over the world who are interacting with one another, sharing their SureFit Designs projects and asking questions, and I chime in. You're very, very welcome to join us.